I am responding to some of the best and the worst comments and questions I have received on my channel so far, because I think my answers might help you to keep navigating all the different aspects of reselling. And stick around, because later in the video you can see me sourcing live again, and I'll show you sold prices along the way.
Yay! Flippin' high yummy!
Welcome back to my channel. I'm Annette, and before we get started, I wanted to make sure to tell you that when I was going over all the comments and questions to talk about, for some reason I thought I had even more negative comments to talk about, only to discover that the vast majority of comments and questions are really helpful feedback for me, very helpful to the reselling community in general. You have no idea how much I appreciate reading all of them. I love this first comment because she vehemently disagreed with me, but she was thoughtful and polite about it. She is correct that not cleaning a piece of pottery, for instance, could potentially hide damage. In that video, I told you that I clean almost nothing, and I mean nothing, that I am reselling. And I should have been more clear that if something would be dirty to that degree, I would either not buy it, or I would make an exception and clean that item just to make sure there was nothing hiding underneath. The cleaning I typically skip would be the normal wear from storage, tarnish on silver perhaps, things like that. And she is also correct that most buyers, unfortunately, they do not read the descriptions, let alone examine the photos correctly. You need to remember that. In fact, assume that they don't see any of that. I've mentioned in some of my past videos that whenever there is an issue with any item I'm selling, no matter how inconsequential something may seem to be, I always message the buyer right after the sale to make sure that they are aware of every little thing, just to make sure. In fact, I just messaged the buyer after the sale of this soap. The hinges on the purple plastic case were broken off. They were fine with it. I think maybe one time someone has canceled the sale because of an issue, they weren't aware of it. So 99% of the time, the buyer will still want to proceed with the sale. I've been asked about the framed eBay document right behind me here, and unfortunately it is not dated, but I've had it for many years, back when Bill Cobb was on all the correspondence. This was sent to top sellers. I'm not sure what the criteria was back then, but it was commemorating another store that I had. I had two stores at one time, and this one I ran specifically for consignment sales, where I sold other people's items on a 60-40 split, and I kept 40% of the profit. Eventually, I gave that store up. I'm not sure if somebody is even using that username now, but I really wanted to focus on my own inventory. I also get regularly asked what is on my business card, and do I reveal that I am a reseller? In a past video, I mentioned that you will never ever catch me without my business card. It has gotten me access into private sales, private buys. I can't recommend it enough. It builds instant credibility, and it saves time because you are always prepared. First of all, I would never hide that I'm a reseller, but I also let people know that I'm an avid collector, which is unfortunately true, but I don't get into what I resell, what I collect specifically, unless it would be part of the conversation. But all I put is my name, my phone number, and my email. Just a basic contact card, and that is it. How do you know how to price things? I get this question a lot, and there's all kinds of approaches to pricing, especially if you're a new reseller. You want to first decide which camp are you in general. Are you the one who wants to turn and burn your inventory, sell things quickly, sell things cheaply? Or if you're like me, you want to be a little more patient, want to wait for a bigger profit perhaps, that would be the category I generally fall in. So if you want to sell your inventory as fast as possible, just do the research, find what the item sells for, at the lowest price you can find or price it even lower than that, that's going to sell it for you the quickest. But if you're like me, you want to wait around for hopefully a little more profit, I want to give you a few examples here of different kinds of scarcity and demand. So as not to confuse you or sound like I'm contradicting myself based on my other videos where I have talked about pricing, if I am selling something that is prolific, there's tons of it on eBay, or it's a highly predictable item like a video game, let's say. There's not much mystery to the pricing. I am going to price it low. I want to move it quickly and move on. I'm talking about a more scarce item, a more unique item, or something that there's just not a lot of pricing knowledge available. I am likely going to hold out for the best profit possible in those cases. Let's take this sweater that I just sold. I know the brand is popular. It's got a great sell-through rate. Every single one basically sells, but the black ones like I had here were especially popular. But the prices were all over the place, anywhere from $50 to $300. So I could have sold it quickly for $50, but I decided I would be happy with $200. I thought $300 might be a little unrealistic. I didn't want to wait that long, perhaps. So once I decided on $200, it sold for that in a few months. What if you find something even more rare, meaning there are very few on eBay and every last one sells? This is what I do. I always price it a little higher, even if it's only a couple more dollars than the last one that sold on eBay, like I did with this fishing lure. There was nothing like it currently listed on eBay, and only one had sold in the last 90 days. Those extra dollars of profit actually add up to quite a bit over time. And what if you find something that you can't locate on eBay, whether it's sold listings or current listings? You definitely want to start by considering the category first. What's the category? Is it vintage Christmas ornaments, which is highly sought after? In that case, just do your best to find something similar, price it according to that. What I do is I always start higher. I don't like to miss any potential profit. You can always come down. And what if you can't find the item anywhere on eBay, but it is branded? In that case, you're going to have a lot more help with figuring out a price. Is that brand well sought after? In the case of this plushie, I knew that Sanex is extremely popular and that a ton of this brand sells on eBay, but I couldn't find any raccoons like this one, and mine was brand new with the tag. Look at how cute he is with the little soap bubbles on his face. I started really high at $150, higher than most of the typical Sanex plushies that had sold, just to test the waters, see if there was much interest in views and watchers or private offers, to make sure that I wasn't leaving any profit on the table. I did have a lot of views and watchers, but no offers, so I decided to drop the price to $100 after about a week. Again, the length of time you want to wait for these things is completely up to you. There is no answer other than how you choose to do things. But when I dropped the price, he did sell almost immediately. A quick side note here, hopefully you already know that you can do research to find sold listings on eBay for back to 90 days. But you can also go further than that. You can see back as far as 3 years if you go to your desktop, go to Seller Hub, then go to the research tab with the drop-down menu. You will see it there. That said, with a more rare plushie like this one I just sold, I don't bother going back 3 whole years to do even more research. Finding nothing comparable in the last 90 days is plenty of research for me. You also don't want to fall into the trap of doing so much research that it actually winds up costing you money because you could be listing. I try not to be obsessed with pricing. Inevitably, resellers sometimes discover they I accidentally left money on the table, but it's so amazing some of the profits we actually make. Keep your eyes on the big picture. That would be your overall profit. Here's a comment from someone who said that if they bought something from me and it was filled with trash, they would automatically leave me negative feedback. This was from a video I did explaining how I pay almost nothing for shipping supplies. I get them all free from friends and family. I have access to a golf course and a lot of their great boxes of everything they get shipments in. But my guess is she hasn't watched any of my other videos because I am very particular about what I sell, how I sell it, and especially how I ship. Recycling shipping materials is not the same as packing items with trash. I always reuse clean, unread newspaper and clean paper from Amazon shipments. I also wrap every single item in some form of plastic because I want to assume the box could be left out in the pouring rain, so everything is protected just in case that actually would happen. Protecting items in plastic sleeves also keeps any newspaper print from getting on anything, and I pick up those plastic sleeves and little Ziploc bags for next to nothing whenever I see them at sales. And for the record, I have never received a bad review for my packaging in all the decades I have sold on eBay. Out of all the comments I've received on YouTube so far, I've been criticized the most for three things. I've been accused of encouraging the sale of copyright material in my flipping paper video. I've been accused of manipulating buyers to cancel a sale because the item is out of stock. And I've also been accused of encouraging the sale of a vintage toy that was prohibited on eBay that was deemed dangerous by federal law. So let me address all three. Number one, I don't recommend selling any copyrighted material or doing anything illegal. Copyright.gov is an excellent resource if you're ever unsure whether something is protected or not. And in my flipping paper video, I mentioned that you might want to consider selling copies of vintage catalogs. And I put the disclaimer about checking with copyright.gov in as a pinned comment rather than in the actual video. The person who was most upset about the video threatened to report the video if I didn't take it down, and he kept leaving more threatening comments. Honestly, it got a little strange. Again, we want to follow the law. We want to follow eBay policy. Anyway, I still have copies of that vintage toy catalog. It's about 50 years old and the company is no longer in business. I'm not sure if I'm going to be selling more copies. I would want to verify if it is still copyrighted. Obviously, you don't want to break copyright law. Number two, when I was accused of manipulating buyers to cancel a sale, if you sell something and you can't find it, for instance, so it's out of stock, I do not recommend lying to the buyer about it. Instead, ask them if they are willing to wait a day or two while you look a little further. There's a really good chance that you will find it and you don't have to cancel the sale. Number three, this person was really upset that I was referring people to a Facebook page to sell this prohibited item on eBay. Charts were not really a toy, were they? I mean, they are genuinely dangerous. I just don't know of any collector that is buying them to use them. They are buying them for nostalgic purposes. I'm a super nostalgic person, so I still recommend checking into that Facebook page that allows you to sell them. How do you know what to buy? This is a question I get constantly, and actually this can be one of the biggest stumbling blocks to newer resellers because they might not recognize just how much they already know simply for having lived the number of years they've lived. Even if you think you know nothing, you are already an expert in at least two categories that sell really well. The first category is the pop culture you grew up with. eBay's signature is selling nostalgia. So whether you were surrounded by Teletubbies or the early Barbie dolls when you were growing up, you are already an expert at spotting those collectibles. Then you just need to take it a step further and figure out which items in that space don't sell very well and which ones sell for the highest profit. The second category you are already an expert in is something specific in your life, whether it is something you've collected through the years or an industry you've worked in. It could be tools. I know almost nothing about tools. There are some resellers, that is how they make their entire living on eBay, strictly through tools. Or it could be something as simple as this. I have two sons, but I was obsessed with gymboree clothes when my niece was a baby. So now I can spot those patterns a mile away. Identify those categories you already know and start hunting for them, including on Facebook Marketplace. I promise that once you get to be an expert in a couple categories, you'll automatically get better at finding the good stuff. I was undecided about whether to include one of the worst comments I think I've ever gotten, but instead I decided to address it. This person called me a scam reseller with worthless advice made strictly for clicks, and he goes on a bit. And if you're thinking about or just starting a reselling channel, don't let these negative comments deter you. They will happen, but they're just strangers who have absolutely no effect on your reselling. So that person thinks my videos are worthless, but I love making these videos. I always wish I had had something like this when I was first starting out. Most of my videos aren't very long because I work really hard to edit out all the fluff or irrelevant content. That's why I value all the feedback I get from all of you. It helps me to figure out what to cover next. I was also reluctant to include this question because I never want anyone to think that I'm being dismissive. We are all trying to learn. But I often get asked, hey, I just got this fill in the blank item from my great grandmother. How much do you think it's worth, or how do I sell it? Sometimes I'll even get excited about the item they're telling me about because it's something I might collect. Then I'll really want to jump in and help. But that's what makes it even harder to say no. But there aren't enough hours in the day to get it all done, so I have to say no. You already know how hard it is to keep up with your own platforms. But this is what I hope encourages you. The time I learned the most of all was when I was just starting out, but I kept doing all the research as much as possible and as much listing as possible. There is no substitute for doing. It's automatic learning. It happens whether you realize it or not. And longtime resellers, don't you agree that we almost deserve a university degree for the knowledge base that we grow and learning all the nuances that there are to reselling? Now let's move on to some live sourcing that I think you'll find just as helpful. What if we should bring a bag, but maybe not?
Do you need that to go with your backpack? No, not yet. Soon at the end of the day. It's on wheels.
Yeah, the wheels will do it.
How we doing?
Good. I got like 15 different. Oh, I got this guy. And then,
So can I either grab this or this? It doesn't matter. Oh, awesome. Where was that? That was right in front. Brand new.
Yeah, I'd say that's from the 80s, to be honest.
That's sweet. Oh, did they mean 50? You don't think they mean 50. You? Hello.
Hi, ladies.
This was, here's some cute stuff. Let me see here. I think I totaled up here.
Is this somebody's? No.
Do you know what it is?
This was in the pre-box.
I think we're at 50 here. Would you take 30? Thank you. And then we got this thing and I think we're at 50.
This is $50.
Oh,
Yeah.
$50. What am I missing? It's 50?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get $5, but that's just me because I collect those.
Yeah, he's like,
Oh,
yeah.
because also he's cheap, but no, that's fine. No, that's fine. I thought it was 50 cents.
I think we should hang on. So
It should be at 50.
yeah, yep, good. I'll take 40. You said.
Okay. And let me go get my phone because I want to do Venmo because I don't have it on me.
Is this yours?
What?
Sorry, I thought you were.
What is what mine?
Rings?
Oh yeah, those are $2.
You're gonna get the full. How much is this piece right here, this string?
Would you take 10 on all of them if I get all of them?
How many are there?
4?
4? What was it?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I'm going to look just a
gonna
little
ask her
longer.
real
Oh, okay, thank you. Faithful.
Here's remember we sold one of those?
Yes. I wonder if these are indeed brand new. Oh, let's see here. The cinnamons, they get a little shiny. They crack and stuff.
Oh,
Look at that.
do you think that's, yeah, that's a vintage.
Yeah, definitely. I think she's right here. What are we at? She said 10, 11, 14.
Do you see all these basilicates? These Christmas basilicates?
Oh.
Tons of them. And we sell too.
They do? Oh, good. Huh? Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's awesome, girl. They're all cute. Do you think you missed any?
No, those are all of them.
These were not priced.
Okay, so just $1 a piece for the craft.
Okay, all right.
And then I did have $1 for each box of
That's
the
fine.
toothpick.
That's fine. I didn't count these. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
2020. Just 5 months pregnant. So I want
Would you like this in a separate bag?
Just right down here.
Okay.
Thanks.
I have her, my brother since birth.
These pieces. These are nice.
Yeah, those are. Very much so.
Oh my God, they're dying.
Sorry to be described those.
Okay, my God.
Aren't those awesome?
Those, yes.
I think we gotta get those.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it said 7. It's $1.
This was not marked.
Let me just take, this is 75,
Yes.
that's $1.50
Another 75.
plus, plus,
5 pair of shoes for 15 total.
okay,
This was not marked.
$1.
Thank you. And then this was not marked.
And then these things, I don't know what she was doing with these. Let me ask her. Kathleen, what do you want to do with these?
For this.
Are you going to take them all?
Yes, please.
$1 each. How's that?
Okay, thank you. So I didn't count them.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance.
No,
to
no
mark.
problem.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, got it. Plus 11 and a free basket.
11. That'll do it.
Okay,
You- I-
29.25.
29.25.
Is the basket, did we count the basket or is that?
I did not.
That's- What's the basket?
We can put them in a
It's
bag,
the
right?
carrier.
I'm old. Can I have just oh my gosh.
Can you just give us 75 cents for the basket?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't
What
have to
was
pay
the
the
total?
change.
What was the total?
29 cents.
20. Okay, here you go. Here you go.
$29.25, so
Okay.
the $20.
And 30. Okay. Thank you.